Good evening. As you said, I'm Joel Brill, and tell you a little bit about myself. Like most comedians, I come from a pretty messed up family. My mother is 95 years old and going strong. She lives by herself. She still drives, and she's very independent. And I worry about her because I'm like, you know, what happens if something goes wrong, Mom? And she's like, I can take care of myself. And she gets real belligerent. She goes, I had a problem with the car the other day. It was making a loud screeching noise, and I took care of it. And I go, oh, really? What'd you do, Mom? She goes, I rolled up the window. Unfortunately, that loud screeching sound was her 98-year-old boyfriend as she was backing over him. They rushed this poor guy to the hospital, put him in a room, got him all hooked up to monitors, and one of the machines is screeching. And the nurses come running in and going to her, get away from him, get away. And she's like, I'm not leaving my boyfriend's bedside. And they're like, no, you're standing on his breathing tube. Back up. So, my mom is quite a catch, and in the 95 years, she's had a lot of guys. Right after my dad died, she went on a singles cruise to meet a guy, and she meets this old guy from France, and they get married on the cruise and come back home. And I meet the guy, and he puts his arm around me, and he goes, you know, I would like you to think of me as your papa. And I'm going, well, I think of you as a faux pas. And that didn't really work out too well because late night, you know, my mother and screeching noises, there was a loud screeching noise that kind of woke her up, and she's like, you know, just reaching over and hits a switch and the screeching stops, and unfortunately it was her husband's respirator, and so faux pas became no pas. Speaking of the French, I was at a department store. You know what a department store is? That's like Amazon.com, but real. They had French bath soaps on sale, and I was thinking, wow, when did the French start bathing? I'm a giver. I'm a very generous comedian. I give a lot of my time and my substantial wealth to different charities. Particularly fond of one charity, that's the Tempura House. It's a shelter for lightly battered women. I got a friend that lives in Wales. His name is Jonah. Thank you. That one takes a little time to catch up. We were in Hollywood for dinner the other night, and I got up to go to the bathroom, and walking out of the men's room was my good friend George Clooney. And I said, hey, George, what's happening? I went to give him a big hug, and I noticed he's soaking wet up front. And I go, George, what's up? And he says, it happens every time. I'm in the men's room, I'm standing at a urinal, minding my own business. The guy next to me looks over and he realizes, he's like, hey, you're George Clooney. I come from a real small town and in New York, and it was very sheltered. And I moved to Los Angeles as a young man, and it was a real culture shock. I mean, people in LA are strange, they're cults. And I met a woman, she was wearing this huge Jewish star around her neck. There was a cross in the middle. And I said, hey, what's up with that? And she goes, I'm a Jew for Jesus. And I'm like, a Jew for Jesus? That's like vegetarians for beef. And I can't stand political correctness. It just pisses me off because, you know, we've become such wusses in this nation. We don't want to hurt people's feelings. So we call them things that they're really not to make them feel better about what they really are. And the news is the biggest violator of this. On the news, they will refer to illegal aliens as undocumented citizens. How sensitive and nice is that? On the other hand, next thing you know, they're going to start referring to drug dealers as unlicensed pharmacists. And the news is terrible. They don't call them, you know, criminals. They don't call them killers and rapists anymore. Oh, no, everybody's an alleged suspect. And I was watching the news, a live feed. The bank was being robbed, and the guy comes running out of the bank with a gun, shoots a cop, steals a car, backs over an old lady, sideswipes 3 more cars, and the reporter has the audacity to go, and the alleged suspect is getting away. There's nothing alleged, nothing suspect. We saw him do it. Catch him and kill him. I got one worse. I was at SeaWorld the other day. There was a sign for Shamu, the alleged killer whale. And I only do one impression. I will close with this. This is my impression of Hamlet with Alzheimer's disease. To be or not to be. What was the question? I'm Joel Brill. Thank you very much for coming out.